Murakami's world again. Cats, ghost, heartbreaks, jazz. Anything else missing, Nessie?
Maybe just one thing: the courage to admit we are hurt.
Heads up, audio adventurers!
Welcome to Human Bubble Podcast, where Plato shares snacks with the weekend and Schopenhauer gets lost in a Spotify playlist. In our freaky studio where cats knocking things over.
We explore the chaos of being human through art, books, music, and philosophy, like a brainy fever dream with good lightnings. Strap in, it's weird, it's wise, and it's probably cheaper than therapy. Hmm. Welcome back to another evening of quiet chaos, along shadows. You've been listening to Jazz for the Broken Ones, where silence sometimes speaks louder than words.
Tonight we dive into Haruki Murakami's Kino, a story that feels like jazz played in an empty bar. Smooth, melancholy, but full of ghosts between the notes.
Well, there is betrayal, a grey cat, a man in the raincoat, and the snakes that slides between the real and unreal.
And at the center, Kino, a man who mistakes numbness for peace, a man who doesn't say I'm hurt until it's almost too late.
Well, my dear listeners, I would suggest you to pour yourself something quiet. Maybe a whiskey, maybe memory. Let's just step inside the bar where nothing is loud except what's unsaid.
So, Darkster, what about overview? Can you tell
Yeah,
us about? Of course, let's
it would be
go.
my honor, Nessie. Let's
Mhm.
go. So, Kino is yet another masterpiece from Murakami. At first, it reads like a slow burning story, gentle characters introducing smooth plot progression, just like how it goes. But unlike any other story, beneath the softness lies something darker in this one. As you peel back the layers, the story reveals deep emotional wounds and surreal shadows. If you're light-hearted, please brace yourself. Kino's life fractures when he catches his wife with his colleague. He walks away from everything, Nessie. He opens a bar in Ioma, and it's a quiet space, it's a quiet space of jazz, dim lights, and grey cat that sleeps like a guardian spirit. But silence
Wow.
in Murakami's world is never empty. I'm telling you. I have some. Okay, we'll talk about it later. His wife visits to apologize, but Kino feels nothing. And the cat disappears at the same time after his wife visits, and at the same time, snakes begin to appear. So there's a person named Kamita, and he's an amazing character. You'll talk about him, right? So he's a mysterious man. He wants Kino to leave the bar and everything and just go to a faraway place. And finally, Kino decides to go away, and there is a time where he is in a distant hotel room and he thinks hears a knock coming from not the door, but from the window. 8 stories up, Nessie.
Hmm.
8 stories up.
Hmm.
And Kino
Yeah.
crawls under the cover and whispers, "Yes, I'm hurt very, very deeply." So, do you think
Yeah.
Kino's retreat into silence was a form of protection or a form of surrender? What do you think?
What I think? I'm not sure, Darkster. Maybe both. Kino's silence feel like armor, but let's say that, but also a quiet collapse underneath it. You know, Darkster, there is something tragic in pretending nothing happened when everything did. Well, maybe that's the real warning here, that numbness isn't strength, it's just pain wearing a mask. And you know, uh, you
Hmm.
provided great overview. Thank you, Darkster.
You're
But
welcome.
I want to start from the beginning when the story opens with a description of a mysterious man. You mentioned his name, Kamita. A mysterious man in a long raincoat. Kino, our main character, instantly tags him as a Yakuza. Well, what about this term, Yakuza? Can you tell more
Oh,
about it, Darkstar?
oh yes, I do have something about Yakuza. Well,
Okay.
now see, Yakuzas aren't just gangsters in suits. They're a part of Japan's shadow history, organized crimes groups known formally as Broken Dawn, or it's like violence groups in
Mm-hmm.
English, you could say. Apologize for the mispronounce if there is any Japanese person hearing it. Their roots stretch back to Edo period, when masterless samurais and gamblers began forming underground networks. Over the time, they evolved into complex organizations with strict codes and samurai-like rituals. Everybody knows like samurais in Japan history, right? And their elaborated tattoos that tell story of loyalty and pain. So it's like, the tattoos are called irizumi, and they're
Mm-hmm.
intricate, full body designed, and often cover from the back, arms, and chest and legs. So it
All
just
right.
leaves over the hands, neck, and the face untouched so they can blend in the society. You know how just remarkably intelligent the way they thought about it? Like these people, those
Mm-hmm.
gangsters can also be blend into society without being pointed out as the odd one. So in Murakami's world, their presence is never loud but always looming, a reminder that beneath the surface of order, something darker watches, I believe. And that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Means to be
Yeah,
Yakuza.
of course, but we don't know it. Like it's this Kino's suspicion because we know this guy. Like he always wear a great raincoat. Well,
Even if there is no rain or
uh,
not.
of course. So you know, this man always chooses a narrow corner in Kino's bar, whether it's crowded or empty. So you know how it is. Like we cannot help but glance at something that feels extraordinary, slightly misplaced in the rhythm of reality, like a man wearing a raincoat when there is n- any single sign of rain on heaven on earth.
Yeah.
Well, it looks suspicious, uncanny, yeah.
Oh, of
But
course.
after the man leaves, yeah, Kino leaves a strange lingering presence, as if the air itself had been rearranged. And soon we learn more. The man's name is Kamita. There is something
Yep.
powerful in him, in his name, his composure, his aura. He wrapped in an eerie kind of fog, and we instinctively connect him to the willow tree. And yeah, and Murakami scatters symbols everywhere, but this one stands out. Kamita and the willow both seem to exist as a quiet form of protection, a friendly ghost haunting Kino's fragile peace. But opposite to protection is a woman. Do you remember this woman?
I do, I do. But before this one, I would like to ask you: do you remember the scene where how we got to know the name of this character, Kamata? It was interesting,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Should I give you a quote?
Yeah, please. I would love to. Go ahead. Nessie speak going in the podcast without code is not Nessie. Yeah, it's a trademark. Go on. Please go ahead.
I had to
I
find
know
my
you
book.
always have something up your sleeve.
Oh God. Okay, okay. I have some quotes, but for another occasion. But you surprised me. Let me find it. What kamita does it mean? I don't
Yeah,
know.
find it.
Where is this
All right.
quote?
It's fine. You can find it out. We're here. Listeners and Dogster are
Okay, I
waiting.
have it. Because this passage is repeated few times. I think three times in this story. But I
Mm-hmm.
didn't count, so maybe it will be more or less. But it's my name is Kamita, he said. It's written with the characters for God, Kami, and
Mm-hmm.
field, God's field. But it isn't pronounced Kanda, as you might expect. It's pronounced Kamita. Daskina
Kamita.
first learned his name. All right.
Mm-hmm. It
And
was
a
Nessie.
lot of small pieces, sheet papers. They are so over there. So what about the
Well,
woman?
yep. The woman. Yep. You know, there's some moments in the story that are quite hard to forget. So this woman comes in a bar with a man, and they both seems emotionally detached. They visit together
Mhm.
more than once, and Kino just observes him quietly, as you know how Kino is minding his own business, right? I mean, what does the
Yeah.
bar owner has to do with what who's coming, right? One day she comes alone and she drinks brandy and listens to Billie Holiday, and eventually she shows Kino the cigarette burns on her back, and she says,
Mhm.
I have them on other places too, places that are a little hard to show.
Mhm.
So when we talk about love, Nessie, it comes with emotions and feelings from inside,
Of
as you know
course.
that.
Mhm.
So they made love like two wounded animals. No words, no foreplay, just raw needs. It's like, it's not romance. I don't feel like it's romance to me. It's like Nessie, it feels like a trauma meeting a trauma.
Oh, I like this expression, trauma meeting
Yeah,
trauma. It's a
it's a
good one.
very
Yeah.
deep expression.
It's accurate,
And
of course.
mhm, Kino for once doesn't look away. Nessie,
Mhm.
this woman represents suffering and emotional damage that has been absorbed and hidden. Maybe she just showed it to him to get close. Maybe it
Maybe.
can be possible, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Murakami doesn't explain her. He doesn't give us any answers, and maybe that's the point. She is not a puzzle, but a presence, a metaphor for suffering we carry quietly for the parts of ourselves we only reveal when words fail. So, a question to Murakami's diehard fan, of course, that's you. What do you think Murakami's saying about intimacy here? Can pain ever be a bridge between two people, or does it only deepens the distance? What do you think?
Okay, first of all, it's like you said that she is not a puzzle, but she's a presence. I think she's a puzzle, actually. She's kind of riddle in that story, but yeah, I don't know that I want to reveal that much more. Maybe our listeners can, maybe. But going back to your question, I think pain can connect us. Yes, yes, but only for a while. It's like, Darkster, it's like a bridge made of smoke. It holds for a moment, then disappears.
Hmm.
You can't build anything lasting on suffering. It teaches, it burns, and then it
Yeah.
should go. And Kino himself is a taciturn, solitary man, a figure of
Hmm.
calm monotony. And his work satisfies him. though his salary is barely worth mentioning. And then in this dull, dust colored life comes betrayal. Betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a very important point in the story.
Betrayal, I say, of course. So,
Mm-hmm.
every story has some ground shifts. For
Mm-hmm.
Kino, it was the day when he came back home early, as we have give them the hint, I mean, to our listeners. So he wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. He was, hey, I need
It's
to
about,
drink water.
being in some
Just,
specific time in specific place, right?
yeah. So he just walked in and he found his wife in bed with his closest colleague. No warnings, no build up, just betrayal. Raw and unfiltered, Nessie. He just
Mm-hmm.
found her with his closest colleague. Oh my god. And what did Kino do? He didn't scream. He didn't fight. He just turned around and walked away. Quietly, like something, just like someone stepping out of his own life. That's a tragedy. You can't understand what a man would be going through his mind after he sees that betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a betrayal, but the way he swallowed it whole, he turned off his feelings like a switch, and by numbing himself, he could erase the scenes, but silence doesn't heal. You know that, Nasi. It just stores. Later, when his wife visits to the bar to apologize, she says, I really don't like his
Mm-hmm.
wife, to be honest. Like, she has the audacity. That's my personal. I mean, there was something wrong between them. She says there was something wrong from the part,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like she says, if we've done buttons up wrong, that's what she says. This line, it's
All right.
so human, so quietly devastating. It's not just about misalignment, it's about inevitability, about some relationships unreveal, not with explosions, but with quite invisible tears.
Yeah, and Darkstar, there are so many
Hmm.
symbolic traces here. For example,
Yeah.
the blue dress of Kino's wife that day, her
Mm.
new haircut, that quiet glow of happiness in a life without him.
Hmm.
We can't carry our pain forever. It has to leave us at some point, find its own way out. So otherwise, it turns into something heavier, something that starts living instead of us.
I mean,
Right?
I have a question to you. It's out of context. So do you think women gets over quickly or men does?
I think it not depends on gender.
Hmm.
It's about our personal traits and about our sensitivity.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
inner sensitivity, how we can handle those setbacks. Right?
Yeah. I mean, in this case, I mean, she clearly has the audacity to just come to his bar
Mhm.
and wearing something nice. Kino looked at him and he was thinking, "Oh, she looks better. She looks good."
Yeah.
Not
He was
for me to
okay,
just,
right?
yeah,
He seemed
she was
okay
okay.
with that.
Yeah. So, Kino tells her like it's okay, but inside he felt
Yeah.
nothing. Not even pain. And that blank space, Nessie, that emotional void is where the darkness begins to grow. It's the second turning point, the visit from his wife. She comes to the bar and apologizes, and straight after that, the cat disappears. and the snakes
Mm-hmm.
starts to appear. Not
Okay.
it's like this blank space invited those things, those snakes. So
Mhm. We will go
um
back to snakes, okay? Let's let's go with
yeah,
betrayal much more.
yeah.
Yeah, because this betrayal that struck
Mhm,
Kino came almost
mhm,
quietly, as you said, like a natural consequence of his absence. And he was often away because of his work and spending more time outside than at home. So Murakami paints him as a kind of man who doesn't easily pick up on clues, who drifts
mhm,
through life without suspicion, almost passively.
mhm.
Passively, it will
Yeah,
be the word
exactly.
key, right? And the
Yeah.
same applies to his work routine, steady, unexamined. And that's perhaps the first value on which we can build his character, a man of a calm detachment. And when Kino discovers that his wife has been unfaithful, he doesn't shout, as you said, he doesn't break anything, doesn't even demand an explanation. He simply leaves and never returns. Wow, can we really handle pain that way? Can we absorb betrayal without noise? Well, Kino seems like this sort of person who refuses to display emotion. He doesn't
Mhm.
rage after his wife's infidelity. Just as he cannot rejoice in any success, he simply doesn't know how to define his state of being. He moves through life like someone fitting too neatly into its cold geometry. A man without exaggeration, without excess. And
Like
there
you
is a
asked,
very
yeah.
important point.
Go
Yes,
ahead. Go ahead, please.
go ahead. Go ahead,
No, you
Darkster.
ladies first. Ladies first, Nancy. Go on.
Go ahead. Oh, come on, I want to start something else. Do you want to just say
All
something
right.
about what I said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
So you asked like, can he go like that without expressing himself? I don't think
Mm-hmm.
so. It's natural. I mean, no
Yeah,
way. That's not
it's
normal.
unnatural, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Exactly. We are only humans, or, yeah, and we have
It's,
emotions. We cannot
yep.
keep them
Mm-hmm.
close in a
It's
box in our heart. No,
you're gonna
no
suffocate
way.
if you just keep things inside of your heart.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we are more expressive or less expressive, depends on the person, but actually, it's not something natural. When you just you face those things, you cannot just stay so calm. And there is a great question like how people go through setbacks. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's one thing I believe our listeners must be curious about.
yeah. But with Kino is another case. Like how hard is to him to allow himself that simple thought, like yes, I'm heard. Kino never does. Instead, he chooses to make himself busy with something he likes. He opens a small bar and surrounds himself with the soft crackle of jazz lounge plays. He
Hmm.
waits patiently for guests, even for the gray cat with the long
Yeah.
tail that visits him like clockwork. And again, we return to Kamita. The
Yep.
mysterious man may be a
Here we go.
ghost, maybe a
Hmm.
guardian spirit, the silent patron of this dimly lit place. The cat,
Hmm.
too, feels like another protective soul. I talk about symbols, right? So let's go.
Yep, you do.
Um, it was like a good luck charm for the bar, Kino says, and perhaps he's right. Symbolically, the willow tree becomes the true emblem of the space, magical, still, quietly watching,
Hmm.
right?
Yep. Cat, cat, and this willow tree were the lucky charm for
Mm-hmm.
Kino. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So back to my point of the shift, the things starts to shift again in Kino's life. Like, when his
Mm-hmm.
wife comes to apologize, again I'm saying it Nessie. And
Yeah,
she
in a blue
says, I've
dress.
told you all that. And what he says to her, he's okay, it's okay. And he feels nothing, not even pain. But that emptiness, that coldness is a ripple out, is starts to ripple outwards.
Yeah,
The cat
finally. Yeah.
hmm the cat disappears quietly like it was never there, and then the snake appears, still like a silent watching symbolic. It's
Mm-hmm.
as if the void of Kino's heart has invited something darker. The only man who notices that was Kamita. Kamita
Mm-hmm.
notices that and he tells Kino to leave the bar. Kamita says, I used to read quietly, Mr. Kino, but something has changed. And for Kino, he can't just explain it, but he listens. He quietly listens, and he thinks like, I thought like maybe there is some music that's different, or the food has changed, or something. But
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't get it. So there was this willow tree, as you mentioned before. Kino
Mm-hmm.
remembers its swaying gently, birds landing and leaving. It becomes a kind of emotional anchor, a
All
memory of
right.
softness in the world that's turning cold. hmm After the woman, the cat, and the snakes appears, three of them, each of them ominous than the last one. And Kino's aunt says snakes are ambiguous creatures.
Mm-hmm.
They guide, but you never know where they're gonna lead you to. So it's kind of scary, right? The willow tree outside is about okay.
Eerie atmosphere. Yeah.
Yep. So, do you think the snakes represent something inside Kino, or their external force responding to his silence? What do you think?
All right. All right. All right. Let me back to this point of the story when something shifts. The story turns. The cat stops appearing, and in its absence, snakes arrive. Three of them, as you said. Another kind of guests. Right, that is only my first thought, an impression that helps me interpret it that way. I have some interpretation. Do you remember these two guys in a bar that
I do.
time?
I do.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What happened in the bar?
Well, there was another, just like another day, and those two
Mm-hmm.
men came inside the bar, and they were just sitting and talking to each other. But suddenly there was a shift in the air, and they just had a quarrel about something. I don't know. I'm not sure what
Mm-hmm.
what it was,
And they
but they
weren't
started.
they weren't polite at all. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of them just like shifted the glass, and it broke. There was a glass that broke, and at that particular time,
Kameda, yeah.
Kamita was sitting there, and Kino was just watching, and this Kino comes up to them, asks him like, sir. He asks them, but they got angry on him, and afterwards, Kamita takes him out, and they just
All right.
vanish.
Yeah,
They
and
vanish.
listen. After that, Kino didn't notice any change, like no trace of fighting, anything.
Yeah,
So he didn't know what happened there.
no
And
blood
that
stain.
okay, that is my interpretation. So I believe like those snakes because first appear
Yeah.
one snake, then second snake. So two
hmm
snakes they come in human form. It is exactly connecting with those men arguing with Kino, men who once spoke with Kamita, exactly those. And the last snake, the poisonous one, takes the shape of a woman with burn scars. A longer, slender woman in a tight black dress. She moves like a whisper of danger. And there is something about her that unsettles Kino, something he can't quite name. And all these encounters led us toward the true heart of the story. Can we ignore our inner feelings? And Kino believes that emptiness is normal, that being numb is simply his nature. But pain, disappointment, and quiet sorrow don't vanish just because we refuse to name them. They stay. They settle deep inside, and in silence, they begin to destroy him. And then he left, right?
Yeah, he left. He was far away from home in a cramped hotel room. Kino writes a forbidden message on a postcard trying to reconnect with reality, you know? That night, a knock comes not at the door but at the window. 8 stories up. Tap, 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 tap. Like a
Tap,
heartbeat.
tap.
Yep. Like a soul asking to be seen. Kino curls under the cover and remembers the willow tree and the cat and Kamitha, the jazz, the apology, and finally he says, "Yes, I'm hurt. Very, very deeply." And he
Oh, finally.
weeps. Yep, the knock wasn't from outside, it was from within, a reckoning, a reminder, a call from the part of him he buried, the part that he still wanted to feel metaphorically, but it's the soul's knocking on its own shell, you know?
Hmm.
The moment Kino stops drifting and starts existing again, not as a ghost, but as a man who finally admits he's wounded, not after that, like Nessie, it's where the story ends, not with resolution, but with recognitions. So, my question to you is what do you think that knock really was? A reckoning, a memory, at something entirely else?
Well, I would love to mention this rain, but you did it. Again, in Murakami's word, it matters a lot. Some process, change, a resurrection. That knocking dark star, I feel it's his own memory calling back to him. A pause of life, but also a passage to something beyond. Maybe it's risky to say, but I believe what happened to Kino wasn't death, but I'm not sure. It was my first impression that it was dead, but it was vaporizing, dissolving into something lighter, maybe freer, like smoke leaving the body. And I have some quotes, and we can
Yeah,
observe
please go
how
ahead.
Kino changed. Yeah, just quickly, let me read the first quote according to this story. Okay, first of all, Kino enjoyed listening to whatever music he liked and reading books he had been wanting to read, like dry ground welcoming the rain. He let the solitude, silence, and loneliness soak in. And later on is this.
Hmm.
It was a savage scene from a barren planet, light
Oh,
years
yeah.
away from where Kino lived. Yeah. And then, so you can observe this process in Kino. Some people use the blank space as a kind of loophole. Well, all right. And the last
Yep.
one, when Kino was in a hotel room. The world was a vast ocean with no landmarks. Kino, a little boat that had lost its chart and then its anchor. Hmm. In the ocean of life, yeah. So let me say some impression about Kino, at least.
Yeah,
You
please
know,
go ahead.
Darkster. Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
we can all see a fragment of Kino's fear in ourselves. That quiet resistance, the refusal to face what's uncomfortable. You know, some people act like they don't care, even though they care deeply, and they just can't admit it's their case, their pain. And honestly, I can confess I do that sometimes too. It's not easy to stand in the front of the mirror and allow your own weakness to exist, to look at yourself and whisper, yes, that's me, fragile, flawed, still learning how to feel.
Yeah, I feel
Mm,
like you're right. Everybody has a Kino inside of themselves.
yeah.
Yep.
You know, I keep thinking about that knock, Darkster. Not at the door, at the window, like life itself tapping, tap, 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 to remind you that even silence has a pulse.
Yeah, maybe that's the whole story. Pain, loss, memory. They don't vanish. They just wait for us to listen.
And maybe Kino didn't die. Maybe he just evaporated, slipped through the cracks between this life and the next, carried away by jazz and smoke.
Until next time, keep the lights low, the record spinning, and your ghost close enough to whisper back.
You've been listening to Jazz for the Broken Ones, episode 11, Kino.